April is Farmers Month, and in recognition of that, we stand proud to salute all farmers. Let's not forget that the cultivation of the earth is the most important labor of a man. Hello there. Thanks for joining us on another insightful edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. We have some educational features lined up just for you, so please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Good day, I'm Lisa Rowe and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, April 3, 2024. The newly renovated surgical ward at the Kingston Public Hospital is now officially reopened. The 36-bed unit on Ward 2 North provides a more comfortable and efficient space for patients and staff. The work was done through a public-private partnership at a cost of over $10 million. It included the installation of air conditioning units in the doctors' and the nurses' stations and repainting and retiling of the ward. The restrooms were also upgraded and the staff break area refurbished. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa Mackenzie says the private-public partnership reflects a commitment by the government and its partners to provide state-of-the-art facilities and improve service delivery to patients. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green has revealed that the Montpelier Research Station will receive $14 million to boost research in the sector. The program will cover commodities such as ginger, turmeric, and pimento. Minister Green made the disclosure during the 41st staging of the Montpelier Agricultural and Industrial Show held in St. James. He says $406 million will go towards the rehabilitation of the research facilities in the centers of excellence.
Again, it doesn't mean you can't progress further than your research work. You have to have active research work. And Montpelier is going to be paying a lot of attention on ginger and on turmeric. Again, significant demand worldwide. And we have a $14 million United States program to drive the production of ginger, turmeric, and pimento. And we're going to be using Montpelier along with Nakalva to drive those things. So there is a lot to be done.
The massive digitization project being undertaken at the Registrar General's Department, RGD, is expected to be completed by the end of this calendar year. The agency is currently digitizing more than 2.4 million documents as part of its modernization efforts. These include certificates for birth, marriage, death, adoption, and stillbirth.
At the end of this process, the RGD would have transformed its repository from a paper-based repository to a digital repository, and the efficiencies to be had from that is enormous.
The RGD CEO was speaking at a recent JIS think tank. Mr. McFarlane emphasized that the digitization of records was also a key part of the process of transitioning to the National Identification System, NIDS. He assures that the change will improve the accuracy in terms of how records are created, transcribed, and converted into certificates.
Based on how the National Identification System is set up in the law, persons will require a birth certificate, right, and a computer-generated birth certificate. And as such, we can begin to see the natural link now, where having our records digitized enables us to produce those certificates in a more efficient manner, in a more timely manner, and so that will facilitate persons who are enrolling for their NIDS card. We will be able to produce those certificates quicker and enable them to move on to the next step of their application and enrollment in the National Identification System.
And finally, continued improvement to operational processes is enabling more efficient, digitally transparent, and user-friendly services in the public sector. That's a statement from Minister responsible for Skills and Digital Transformation, Senator Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon. She was speaking at the recent opening of Sagicor Bank in New Brunswick Village in Spanish Town. It's a blend of both physical and digital services, which was endorsed by Minister Morris-Dixon as a show of inclusive digital transformation.
Our vision is of a Jamaica where every citizen, from the rural farmer to the urban professional, harnesses the power of digital tools to improve their livelihoods, education, and access to services. Ultimately, the vision for us for a digital Jamaica is one of inclusivity, no one being left behind.
Minister Morris Dixon says the state will be making more services available online to enable easier access and increase trust in the government. Meanwhile, Sagicor Group President and CEO Christopher Zaka says a $6 billion investment is to uplift and enhance the community.
It's not just a physical space. It embodies our vision of modern, convenient, and innovative banking.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lisa Rowe. Thanks for watching.
It can be very challenging when trying to find the right market for your produce. Some farmers might experience this and more and are not sure what to do. Are you one of those farmers? If yes, stay with us as we share with you just how the produce could be sold to the right people.
Many times we have so many things that we can't sell. We have, because sometimes all the farmers goes out and plant Irish potatoes and it's too much. So what we do, we just use the phone, same place in the field, get to them, and they try everything, and I know before them, we only have spoilage. We can't sell. So no matter how it glut in the whole highland, they find a way to unload it.
Bye-bye farm produce glut. Alex is here to move farmers' produce onto the plates of visitors to our shores.
The Agri Linkages Exchange Center, good afternoon.
It's not my...
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Willis. How are you doing? Okay. So what do you have reaping now?
We have a portion of corn ready, you know.
Is that sweet corn? Okay, sir. Let me just add that to the database for you. How much corn are you reaping?
We have 12 dozen corn ready, you know.
What's the selling price? 120 per dozen?
So you can look the buyer for me anytime you're ready. You hear, boss?
Another problem, Mr. Willis. I'll post the information for you, and once the market is available, I'll give you a call and let you know. All right, Mr. Willis, thanks for calling.
As easy as that, farmers are reaping economic benefits through tourism. The Agri Linkages Exchange is an electronic platform where buyers and sellers of agricultural produce meet. Currently, there are agro-brokers who manage the platform. They operate from the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, St. Andrew office. It's a collaboration between the Ministries of Tourism and Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries. The center has raked in more than $50 million in sales for approximately 400 farmers across the country.
This program is dedicated specifically to the farmers, and what we were trying to solve was the fact that a number of our hotel, especially our hotel purchasing personnel, had difficulty getting produce that was in season, out of season, or even where they were located. So you'll find that particular fruits that will be in abundance in the eastern end of the island never ever gets to the west, and vice versa. For example, mangoes. Mangoes are very abundant in the east. And again, the West would love to have some of the fruits that we have in abundance at one place. So the Agri Linkages Exchange platforms would have been a link to ensure that both buyers and sellers meet. At this point, we have 55 hotels on it. We have several agro-processors. We have about 5 retail operators, but the retail are really large personnel. And each day is another day in which persons are added.
I was at a production and marketing meeting in my community where we were discussing where we can unload our produce. So one of the RADA extension officer recommended us to Alex. I just get my phone, get registered, and that's it. Since Alex, we have more in demand than supply. It's been so good for us, trust me.
There are farmers who might not be technologically savvy to actually go on the system themselves, so they'll call into the center and ask, and these agro brokers will be able to put them on the system.
On a daily basis, I would say we get from maybe 20 calls per day or so from farmers. A lot of the calls that we do get, surprisingly, are farmers who are new to agriculture. They are curious about what Alex is about. Persons are now realizing that technology, agriculture, and production can all mix.
We supply and deliver produce, fruits, vegetables to hotels and restaurants. It's about 10 hotels that we supply on a weekly basis. Hotels that we supply, it's from small to large hotels. We found out about the Alex Center through a farmer. It is a very good initiative.
On a daily basis, we probably make contact with 20-30 buyers on behalf of our farmers, and they themselves, the buyers do call the center. Buyers request varied amount of quantity produced depending on what the usage is. If it's for agro-processing or export, the volumes will range from as small as a small agro-processor may need 80 pounds of sorrel or 100 pounds, 200 pounds, 300 pounds, but then you have an exporter who will need 10,000 pounds of sweet potato, 15,000 pounds of pumpkin, 20,000 pounds of other produce. So the volumes vary depending on the usage. We walk with the farmers and we stay with them until the transaction is completed, until they're paid, until the goods are delivered.
Our hotels are interested in buying local produce. There's really no substitute for the produce that we actually produce here. If you were to import any of our grown provision, it wouldn't taste the same. And therefore, there's really no incentive for the hotels to be purchasing overseas. What we have not had from our local industry is exactly where it is and in what quantities. And Alex has been able to solve that mischief somewhat.
It's simple, man. Just get the phone or come down to the road where the office is, register with Alex, and that's it.
Imagine reaping the benefits of what you worked hard for, from sowing to reaping and even multiplying your income. But none of this can happen without the right environment and the right soil to nurture your crops.
To provide jobs for persons, it lets me feel like, I'm really contributing to the economy of the country. It's just a good feeling. And to produce the quality products, to compete with the international market, and to produce goods that actually look much better than imported goods, it's a good feeling for me.
Agro Investment Corporation continues to scout for lands in Jamaica that are best suited for agricultural production through the National Land Agency and the Commission of Lands, and also with private enterprises. So wherever there is unused government lands or private lands, Agro Investment Corporation will profile these lands.
So by now, we should all be aware of the benefits of leasing lands from the government. But once you've leased the land, how do you maximize returns? Well, knowing the soil type is important. For instance, did you know that over in the Ebony Park Spring Plain Agro Park, the soil type impacts the kinds of crops that can be planted there?
Ebony Park Agro Park is about 1,100 acres, and likewise the Spring Plain, and that's roughly all the lands within there. There are areas of non-arable areas, but there are arable areas. Arable areas amount on the Ebony Park side to about 800 acres. There's a lot of different soil types, predominantly Bonegate, clay loam. Basically anything can grow here. Once it requires a pH of about 6.5 to about 7. There are pockets where the pH might fall to about 5.5, 5.8. So if there's a crop that needs to be having a lower pH, soil could be amended to facilitate that. but basically anything will grow.
So let's revisit our checklist. We've applied and submitted all the necessary documentations, including proof of our capacity to invest in the land. We've learned about soil types and pH balances in the soil. What's next after you've been approved?
They would assign you a plot number, or they'd give you a designated area to where you'd be assigned. I guess you'd view it to see maybe what you'd need to do. If it needs a bit of clearing, you might want to look at that, how you go about doing that. You'll be advised as to the best way to get that done. You might want to go to the NIC because our water is pressurized, and so the NIC supplies it. So a part of your contract would give you the ability to go to NIC with tenure of land, and then they would then come and put your meter on so that you get ready supply for water. We also offer tractor services to plow, harrow, farrow, and other activities that you might want, rotovate and so on for your lands. So you'll be able to do that. Once you do that, we could tell you of maybe different cycles, crop cycles, where you might want to plant, best time for certain crop. You might be able to go out of these seasons, but at least we'll be able to tell you that this crop does well in a particular season. The risk might be higher in another season, but so might be the returns. So you could get advice as to that. So local advice will be there ready for you.
Meet Henry Givens, a youth farmer who is a beneficiary of this initiative. He started out acquiring just 5 acres of land, and today he is up to 15. Givens plants various crops at different stages, including Scotch bonnet pepper, sweet potato, and Maruga red watermelons, as well as slicing and plummy tomatoes.
Leasing land from the government, it is actually beneficial, and at the point where I would actually want to lease more if available. You know, I am not employed otherwise, so it allows me to take care of my 2 babies, and it allows me to eat and survive. So it is something very beneficial, I would say. Life here at Ebony Park, it's twofold. It's good sometimes and sometimes it's challenging. One, persons around, some persons, they know what to do with their crops, for example, and they don't want to do it. So sometimes, we have a lot of pest and disease outbreak, and some persons just don't want to invest the funds or do what is right to actually, make the agro park much better and a much cleaner environment. And then, also, sometimes there's a major issue with the whole irrigation system. It costs a lot sometimes, because even if you look into the pepper field, sun scalding is a result of a lack of water supply sometimes. But it's a blessing, and there is not only negative, because once you have irrigation, then without the irrigation, I couldn't do anything like this, none at all.
Farming can be an expensive venture, but it's also beneficial. As a youth farmer, the challenges may not even be financial.
Some older persons, because they're so, relatively young, they don't want to work with you because they said they don't want to work with a younger person. However, sometimes it's good to know that, for some persons that really can't afford to go into the farming as deep, that you can provide them with not only a job, but you can also assist them with technical advice to improve their smaller production that they do as well. My advice to younger farmers or investors is that they should not be discouraged or swayed from agriculture. It is something that can be beneficial, and it is a good way to make a good foundation for themselves and their families. So it's something that they should look into and be strong about it. That's the only way we can build our country.
If you're considering starting your own farm but aren't sure where to begin, we have a game plan for you. First, avoid planting too many crops at once.
Simple put, don't bite off more than you can chew.
You don't want to plant your crop and then struggle to care for and preserve it. Therefore, get in touch with your local extension officer, since they can give you the technical guidance you need to have a successful crop life. While your extension officer is on hand to help you through the process, you, the farmer, will have to bear some of the responsibility in the cultivation and the production of your crop, like having the proper land tenure, whether through leasing or ownership. Appropriate property access is key, and store your products properly, ensuring tools, pesticides, and fertilizers are kept in different areas. Also, there are several pertinent questions to ask yourself. Do you have the right equipment and tools for the purpose of cultivation? What about cash flow to take care of the crop from planting to harvesting? Okay, that's covered. Do you have access to labor, proper restroom, and first aid facilities for your workers?
For the new farmers who have not started planters in, we are encouraging you to get registered at our RADA offices and get on board because we need your input.
Farming is a profession of hope. I'm sure that is something everybody should know. We enjoy reaping the benefits and everything that leads to a profit. And this is not just a man's world. It's very much also a woman's vacation, if she desires. I know of one woman who does, and we'll now share her story of getting into the business of farming.
Women does everything, and farming is no different. Yes, it's a little bit hot and it's a little bit messy and you get your hands dirty and all of that. But, you know, old time people said if you want good, your nose have to run.
These are the remarks of our female farmer, Elaine Sadler, a lady who recognizes that effort pays dividends and having family support makes the job easier.
I grew up seeing my parents doing this basically all their lives. They were farmers and shopkeepers, and so I think from an early stage that would have been in us.
Elaine decided to fulfill her destiny by starting a family-owned business in order to preserve her parents' legacy. Like most journeys, it started out with trials and errors.
When I just started here, I would have planted about 5 acres of cantaloupe and yellow squash at the time. And I remember we had trucks and trucks and truckloads of these produce, but we did not have market at the time. I was young in the business at the time, and maybe I did not do my research well to find the market before, and that was a major, major problem.
The farming road was a rugged one.
Farm roads is usually a problem for any farmer in Jamaica, I think, and we have been having this problem now for many, many years.
But Elaine is a lady with a strong will to see things through to completion.
We didn't allow that to deter us anyways. So as it is right now, I would not say I'm having major problems because I am supplying to my own business, and that is excellent.
With the intention of creating a family business, Elaine enlisted her brother's help in running the farm.
I could not again do it on my own. I manage 5 acres of this land here, owner and manager of 5 acres for myself. But we spoke about 15 to 20 acres and he's involved in that, the rest of it. So it's a family-owned business similarly to my restaurant.
First, I must say I have a very good sister, somebody who loves to incorporate family. And she was always looking out for us to have something that we are in charge of. And that's mainly it. My daily work is to see to it that everything goes as it's supposed to be. Scout the field so that we have proper sanitation for weeds, pests, fungicide, fungus, and for fertilization. I must see to that.
Being in the industry for about 20 years, Elaine has learned a thing or two about crop rotation.
Usually we have to rotate our crops as we are directed by RAD and those people who guide us and help us. It is not wise to plant the same thing over and over and over. And so we would have been doing several things here over time. I planted onions and it was beautiful. We had a wonderful crop. but we could not do that again. So most of this land that you see, we are now preparing them again to plant something different.
And to safeguard the yield.
You have to monitor the crops all the time to see if and when they need spraying, and we use all the recommended pesticides and herbicides, working with RADA and the experience of my team and manager here. So they know exactly what to use to get rid of fungus and pests.
Despite having a busy schedule, Elaine still finds time to help her neighborhood by utilizing her car to deliver the items to her neighbors while also making additional investments.
I think being able to just purchase the stuff that the people grow in this community is of great help, because we basically buy from the farmers in this community.
This begs the question, should women think about farming as a realistic career option?
Certainly, why not?
I would definitely encourage any young miss to do it.
Now is the time to really get into farming. I think it's a perfect time. And farming is not what it used to be back in the days when my parents used to be in the broiling sun all day in their boots with a little hat and sun and digging. Now we have tractors and stuff that does our plowing and all of that on the farm. So it makes it a little easier, and it makes it easier for women to manage a farm.
You too may become a part of the effort to develop a sustainable agriculture system just like Elaine did, whether it be in farming, food processing, distribution, or waste management. It's the call for Jamaicans to regenerate our productivity.
I want to tell the farmers thank you, that we truly appreciate all they do. They give tremendous service, and they are in fact everyday heroes. They get up and ensure that we have food on our table, and were it not for a farmer, we wouldn't be eating. So oftentimes we may take it for granted, but we want the farmers to know that we're the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, that we do not take them for granted, and we're here to support them. So we will continue to roll out our activities to support our farmers during this month and the entire year. They know that RADA, the AIC, the NIC, all the agencies of the ministry is there to support them. But my only message is really thank you for all you do.
This is where we close the chapter on today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Be sure to join us tomorrow on this station for another that's just as good. Until then, visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for this and more offerings. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry, reminding you to grow what you eat and eat what you grow.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.